Hi, everyone. Tyler Manion here, NPC and IFBB Pro League Vice President. This will be our Mr. Olympia recap of the Bikini division. We're going to review the top 6 here. However, first I'm going to start off with the top 3. Now, the top 3, I think this is the best overall that the top 3 has looked in a long, long time at the Olympia. All 3 of these women really, really nailed their looks for this show. There was a big, big gap between the top 3 and the next 3 competitors. Now, why were Maureen, Jen, and Ashley so far ahead? It's because each of them exemplified what we want to see in bikini. Each one of them have extremely balanced physiques. Nothing is out of proportion. Nothing is too big. Nothing is too hard. Okay? Everything was right on and in balance. And yes, okay, each of them have different physiques. However, what we're looking for in the bikini criteria and how they molded their physiques with their own body type and how they're all extremely balanced is exactly what we want to see in the bikini division. We had a nitpick between these 3. That's how good they all looked at this show. So first up is our champion, Jen Dory. I think Jen really, really nailed her look at this show. I think this was by far her best look that she's ever brought to the stage. It really is a true middle ground of what she brought to the 2021 Mr. Olympia and what she brought to the Olympia last year. The conditioning was right in the middle. She kept her fullness, especially in her glutes, which she had lost last year. And overall, the conditioning was not too hard, not too soft. Everything was right on. She had a nice tight waist. Again, everything was in balance from her shoulders, the hourglass shape, the size of her legs, the size of her glutes to her legs. Everything was matching. The only little thing I could say that she would need to change is she was putting her legs a little far apart in her back pose. I actually think her back pose would have looked even better if her legs were just a little bit closer together. It would have gave her a little more fuller and rounder look to her glutes. But overall, this was a great, great package, and there's really not much I would say to change from this going forward. You want to bring, a look as similar to this as you can. Again, I think people don't realize if your feedback is stay the same, that is not easy to do. It doesn't matter what division you're in. It is very hard to always nail everything 100%. As we've seen with other competitors, even other competitors in this division, it's not always easy to bring the same package. So this look, definitely her best look that I've ever seen. Now, just trying to keep repeating it over and over again is the goal. Next up, we have Maureen. So Maureen looked amazing at this show. However, she was holding just a little bit of water, that we could see that was just blurring her details just a tiny bit. That was the big differentiator between her and Jen at this show. Another thing I think is her tan was really, really dark. As you can see, it was a lot darker than it's been in the past, especially if you compare it to her package last year. And I think mixing that with holding just that slight bit of water was really blurring out, the little tiny details that we needed to see on her physique. So physique-wise, again, I think she's really balanced overall. She actually added just a little bit of fullness to her legs. I think she does not need to add any more muscle, from this point. I think, bring a physique just like this with the same amount of muscle, the same amount of fullness, just peaking, at 100% and, getting that little bit of water off her. And, that's the package she wants to bring moving forward. Next up, we have Ashley. I think this was Ashley's best look that I've seen from her, probably ever. She really brought more fullness, which added more balance to her overall look. I thought she brought more fullness to, her upper body, a little bit more fullness to her legs. So everything really matched with her glutes. The conditioning was just ever so slightly on the lean side, but not saying she was too lean at all. Just, like I said, we're nitpicking between the top 3 here. So other than that, She still was hitting her front pose a little bit different at times. She looked better, obviously, when she wasn't hitting as much of a vacuum in her front pose. So her presentation still needs some work. She needs to really get that front pose down more. And also her suit in the back was actually a little too far up, which made her lose a little bit of fullness in her upper glutes. And how your glutes are shaped on stage, you need to make sure you frame your glutes the right way with your suit. And again, it's just a small little detail. But overall, this look, I think, was the best look I've seen from her. So again, going forward, fixing the presentation, fixing the little problem with the suit. And, I really would tell her to try to bring this look every time. This is a very, very competitive look and a very hard look to beat. I think, again, like I said, these three really separated themselves from the rest of this pack at this show. And they were the clear top three, no doubts about it. Next up, we have the 4th to 6th place finishers, Lauralee, Issa, and Amy. As you saw by the scores, judges had these three jumbled up a little bit. Not every judge had them how they ended up placing. Again, I think they were the clear 4, 5, and 6, and they were pretty far behind the top three, and they all have certain things that they really need to work on to take that leap up next to those top three. In 4th place, we had Lauralee. So at this show, I think Lauralee's main issues were she was too big in the lower body. She was too big in the glutes. She was a little big in the legs. Definitely the glutes got out of proportion to her legs. They did not match. This has always been somewhat of an issue for her from show to show. Sometimes she can come in and everything matches. And then there's been other times where the glutes are too big and become out of proportion to the rest of the body. At this show, I also thought her legs definitely got bigger from what they were. Her conditioning, she was definitely softer than she needed to be. She really needed to bring the look that she brought from the Arnold to this show, and this look was pretty far from it. As I mentioned earlier in this video, feedback that says come in exactly like this is not always easy to do, and this is a prime example of it not being easy to do. Lauralee wasn't able to do that, and that's why she ended up where she was. In 5th, we had Issa. This was definitely Issa's best look of the year. It was much better than the look that she had brought to Texas previously. Issa's upper body was great. She's not too big. She's not too hard on her upper body, so nothing needs to change there. Lower body-wise, she's still a little bit hard in the legs, as you can see by the lines, in her legs and her front pose. You can even see it a little bit in the back pose as well. She needs to be careful not to add any more size to her legs from the front for the front pose. The way she poses, she gives off a more fuller look to the legs, a fuller look with the muscle for the legs and the glutes, so that can't get any bigger. And then from the back, she needs to improve on her tie-ins to really make her glutes pop. Now, they definitely improved a lot, even from, just halfway through the year until now. So I think this is the main area of improvement for the back pose, where it's really going to make her glutes pop and stand out, like some of these other top girls that were in the first call out, even some girls that ended up behind her. So they've done a great job of tweaking her physique. And I think, with a little more tweaks, she can be right back in the mix. In 6th, we had Amy. Now, I think Amy came in just a little bit flat to this show. She didn't have her usual pop to her look. Also, she needs to watch her shoulders. Her shoulders are a little dominant. So like in her front pose, the first thing kind of your eyes go to are her shoulders. They're a little bit on the big side for the rest of her frame and the rest of her physique. So for her, I would bring the shoulders down a little bit. And then really a lot comes down to her having that pop on stage that she normally has, at all of her shows. Then as well, the front pose can still be tweaked just a little bit more to show off her physique the best possible way. She also was hitting it, just a little bit different. Again, every time we were turning them back and forth. So these are the couple tweaks that she needs to make, again, to move back up and be in the mix. So that sums it up for Bikini. And I hope that helps everybody out there, especially all the bikini competitors and coaches, really see what we're looking for in Bikini.